The United States is now an occupied country, but it will soon be an occupied country no longer. Not going to be happening. Not going to be happening. November 5th, 2024, 9 days from now, will be Liberation Day in America. It's going to be Liberation Day.
That's former President Donald Trump at a rally Sunday, Madison Square Garden in New York, highly criticized by a lot in the corporate media as misogynist, sexist, racist, and so on. But he laid out again some of his plans to do mass deportations of violent non-citizens. Welcome back to Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. How does Illinois play in that operation of what Trump's promising to do if he's elected, which could be in a week from now, today? We're looking at Election Day, November 5th. Obviously, top of the ticket is President of the United States. A little bit more of what Trump had to say, but we also got reaction yesterday from Governor J.B. Pritzker. He was in Springfield, and I asked him how Illinois is going to play a role in that mass deportation plan. So here's more from Trump on Sunday in New York.
On day one, I will launch the largest deportation program in American history. I'm going to get the criminals out. I will rescue every city and town that has been invaded and conquered, and we will put these vicious and bloodthirsty criminals in jail. We're going to kick them the hell out of our country as fast as possible.
So the former president's talked about how he wants to help get non-citizens who have violent criminal histories out of the country by working with local police and sheriffs. They know who they are. But obviously, Illinois has a sanctuary state law that prohibits local law enforcement from working with federal immigration officials if the only thing they have against somebody is a detainer. So a detainer order, an order to go out and detain them and then, take the next steps thereafter, possibly to deportation. So Governor J.B. Pritzker was in Springfield yesterday, got to ask him a question about this specifically, but somebody did ask about, his thoughts on the rally, Madison Square Garden, the racist things that were said that the questioner posed to the governor, and he responded saying, yes, it was vitriolic. There was a lot of misogyny. There was a lot of racism that Pritzker characterized coming from Trump's rally on Sunday. Here's just some of what he had to say there.
And I think Americans will show up as a result of that Madison Square Garden event. Many people will show up to vote against the Republican Party.
Governor, President Trump has promised to do mass deportations of violent criminals. He said that he wants to get rid of sanctuary cities. How would Illinois play into that if Trump does get into office and starts moving forward with mass deportations?
Well, yeah, you said two things there, and I think, all of us stand against violent criminals and think that they should, be imprisoned or if they're illegal, undocumented in this country and they're committing violent crimes, they should be deported and turned over to authorities in their countries. I think what Donald Trump represents is something that is a throwback to days when there was mass discrimination, racism across the country, and, by the way, forgets that this is a nation mostly of immigrants, and that we should honor that fact. Indeed, one of the people that he invited to stand on that stage and speak is an immigrant. Many of the best things that have happened to our economy over the last 50 years have been as a result of immigrants coming to this country and creating businesses, becoming Americans, and employing so many people. I mean, there are a lot of reasons why we should invite immigration to this country and have comprehensive immigration reform. It's what I stand for. I think it's what a majority of Americans believe in.
But would Illinois' law prevent, or how would that play into if the federal government's wanting to come in and get some local police assistance? Because he specifically said local police and sheriffs know who these bad actors are, and we'll use them to help round them up.
We saw already the beginnings of what Donald Trump would want to do back when he was president. You saw raids in Geneva, Illinois. into restaurants just to see if anybody in the back rooms of these restaurants happen to be undocumented immigrants. And I think it'll be that times 10. So are there things that we can do to prevent it? Sure, we've already passed some laws that will help prevent that. But the truth is that we should be protecting residents of the state of Illinois. Even if they're undocumented residents of the state, we should be protecting them. And, by the way, providing a path for people to seek citizenship. That's not something that the state of Illinois can do, of course. So we need federal government leadership to get that done.
The governor talking about giving a path to citizenship, trying to prohibit federal law enforcement from coming in to enforce immigration law, but also saying that, yes, if individuals are here with a violent criminal history as illegal aliens, they should be deported. He didn't use those terms exactly, but essentially reiterated that by saying, yes, violent people should be arrested and possibly deported. So an interesting kind of dynamic there with the governor's reaction to former President Trump. More detail from Trump on Sunday.
And to expedite removals of Tren de Aragua and other savage gangs like MS-13, which is equally vicious, I will invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. Think of that. That's how far back. That's when they had law and order. They had some tough ones. Think of the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. You hear that, Mr. Speaker? Get ready. To target and dismantle every migrant criminal network operating on American soil. And there are lots of them. We don't have the same country anymore, you know that. And you know, when you look at the polls and they say about the economy and they have all these different things, the worst nightmare that we're facing is what they've done to us on our borders. We had the safest border in the world. In fact, there's a chart, which I hope they have, because I didn't tell them I wanted it, but there's a chart that I love very much because I wouldn't be here.
And then he brings up the chart and the crowd goes wild. Of course, the history of that chart, it's the chart that he pulled up in Butler, Pennsylvania when he turned his head and avoided getting struck in the head by a bullet, which ultimately grazed his ear. But that was Trump. Of course, a much longer speech. He focused on a whole bunch of stuff, but the immigration issue and his plan to do mass deportations, interesting how it interacts with Illinois. But you also heard Trump talk about some of the polls. The governor yesterday was also asked about some of the polling data and who's ahead in this race.
I have to say, all the polls would indicate that this is a race that's neck and neck in almost every battleground state. Look at the polls, and it's 1 or 2 points either way for these candidates. And I think in that case, Democrats are most likely to win because, frankly, we're the ones knocking on doors. We're the ones making phone calls. Typically, and this is true across the battleground states, we have a better organization than the Republicans do.
Polls are so accurate. Witness President Hillary.
Oh, no, I don't think the polls are accurate. I'm just telling you what the polls say. Who knows? Read the tea leaves. We don't know exactly what the outcome is, which is why everybody's working so hard on the Democratic side to make sure that every last voter gets out to vote.
So again, interesting to kind of see where we're at a week out of the election. Of course, top of the ticket is President of the United States with former President Donald Trump, the Republican, and current Vice President Kamala Harris, the Democrat, who's actually only been running for president for, 3 months? All right, so we got a week left. It is Illinois in Focus Daily with you each and every weekday morning. Be sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell, get the headlines at thecentersquare.com, and get this podcast anywhere you get podcasts.